All right, be honest with me. Would you think it's weird if you go to a wedding and right about the time when they're about to do their vows, you kind of look up and you only see one person? Let's say there's John or the groom there, and John starts giving his vows when there's no one else there. He starts saying, "Till in sickness and in health, till death do us part, I marry the institution of marriage. I give my life to the institution of marriage." I mean, do you think that would be weird, right? Now, why? Because no one marries the institution. You don't marry marriage. Who do you marry? You marry another person, right? I married Alyssa. There's intimacy, there's oneness, there's connectedness, there's covenant. Now, the reason I say that is in chapter 3 of my book, Jesus is Greater Than Religion. I have a chapter called Fundies, Fakes, and Other So-Called Christians. And I talk about how we can kind of distort and have different spectrums that are both wrong when it comes to the Christian life. And the fundamentalist one is one where you worship these regulations and these rules and you idolize them to a place where you actually don't even have a relationship with Jesus. You're just all about the rules. And that looks about as weird, right? Having your quiet time, going to church, doing these things are about as, and there's no Jesus, is about as weird as marrying the institution of marriage. You just don't do that. There's no life. There's no love. And so is that you? Is there places in your life where you need to recognize that the bullseye is intimacy, covenant with your Creator? Now, on the flip side, that's why I say fundies, but then I also say fakes. There's people that say, yeah, stick it to the man, Jeff, right? Like it's all about me and Jesus. We're BFFs. Well, think about this. Me and Alyssa, when we got married, are we still in the institution of marriage? Right? Yes, we still are, right? The institution surrounds us. It's kind of this framework and this beautiful thing called marriage. And the bullseye, though, again, is relationship, covenant, oneness, connectedness. And the institution surrounds us. So on this side, kind of the fundamentalists want rules with no Jesus, right? A lot of people want to marry Christianity with no Jesus. And this side over here wants Jesus with no institution, no kind of rules or life-givingness. And so let's understand that both of those are distortions, and Jesus kind of comes in this proper place and says, yes, it's all grace, it's all mercy, it's covenant, and we're one, but there's an institution, there's community, there is rules, and there is boundaries that surround us. And so when I read the words of Jesus and kind of his indictment on people who maybe do the rules and do certain things with no life, no God, no Creator at the center, it's usually not him having a problem with the rules. It's usually him having a problem with how they're applied or how they're seen. And so, I mean, I think of, for example, an example is take marriage again, for example, right? Like a husband or a wife cannot cheat on their spouse for two different reasons. The husband cannot cheat because they don't want to go to hell or God's going to throw a lightning bolt on them or hate them, or they cannot cheat because their spouse is actually better, because they love their spouse. So it's not doing the same thing, but one's out of fear, one's out of love. And that is the difference between kind of religion and Jesus, or fundamentalism or fake Christianity, and the real authentic faith is Jesus is better. You want to follow him and you want to not cheat on him because he's better than anything else out there. So if that's you, I just pray you would see that Jesus is better. He is good, and it's about oneness inside the institution.